Okay, I'm back.
Doom doom. Welcome back to tonight's episode of BBC News. This is the Bridgerton special for Divers Getting Coffee.
Breaking news at 7 p.m. on the BBC.
Excellent. Hey guys, it's Ed, your Minister of Adventures, and this is Divers Getting Coffee, featuring divers sharing diverse experiences across the ocean tribe. Let's go. Hello there.
Hello.
Top of the morning to you, top of the evening, top of the day.
Hello, darling.
What's
I've never
the...
Zoom before, so bear with me.
No worries. I'm still learning myself. What's the top of the morning equivalent for, I don't know, evening talk?
Top of the evening?
Yeah, top of the evening there.
If we're being Irish, which I'm not, so...
top of the evening. Welcome to today's BBC News.
Tonight at 7 p.m. on the BBC.
We have divers getting coffee with the Duke of Adventures and the Pilot of Pearls. What is Pilot in Pearls? How did that come about?
So several years ago, somebody commented that whenever I fly, I always had a string of pearls with a little airplane on it. And they were like, oh yeah, it's the Pilot in Pearls, because I'd always wear pearls when I was flying. I actually just always wear pearls anyway.
Oh, okay.
It kind of became like a nickname, and then I just changed it on Instagram. And it's kind of stuck. And now people actually know me as that. It's in some circles, which is kind of weird.
That's awesome.
I was at an event in Wisconsin last year called Oshkosh, which is a really big aviation thing. Think music festival, but aviation with a lot of money. It's like the mecca of the aviation world. And I literally had people running up to me yelling, oh my God, you're the Pilot in Pearls. And I'm like, who the hell are you? That's not creepy at all.
Yeah. Well, and there's that too. Well, welcome aboard. Thanks for joining. This is another episode, a more Bridgerton appropriate episode of Divers Getting Coffee. But tonight we're just going to have wine and...
Vodka. Vodka. Sorry.
Very apropos.
It's been a day.
It's one of those days, huh?
Yeah.
Well, welcome aboard. Do you go by Jen? Or you go full proper English Genevieve? My name is Miss Genevieve of the Lavin.
Depends on who I'm with. I prefer Jen because most people, especially Americans, no offense, can't pronounce Genevieve to save their life. I will always introduce myself as Genevieve, and if I like them, I'll say, please call me Jen. I blame my mother for naming me after a famous French hooker. So,
well, you know, c'est la vie.
C'est la vie, hein? Ce n'est pas problème, maman. Merci.
Merci. Ils ne passeront pas. Well, welcome.
Thank you.
How's your day going?
Good. Did some emails, did some errands, did some laundry, washed my hair.
Here it is. This is proof that divers actually do regular things too. Sometimes.
Yeah. Sometimes.
Are you a diver first or a pilot first?
Pilot first.
Oh, sell out.
Both my parents are pilots. I grew up flying. There's a very sweet picture, I'll see if I can find it, of my mum standing in front of her airplane with a little baby bump, and that was me in the baby bump. By the time I was 6 weeks old, I was getting bungeed into the baggage compartments of her Tomahawk with like big headsets on, and I would giggle the entire time she was flying. My dad got my mum into flying, and dad got my sister and I into flying, and it's just been something my whole life.
Wow. So you learned to fly before you actually learned to dive?
About the same time, 15, 16.
Huh.
Yeah, 16 in a pool, 15 in the sky. So about the same time.
In England?
Yeah.
I'm trying to think of
Yeah,
where.
learned to fly in England. Diving, I did a pool in England. Yeah.
Yeah. It must have been cold, huh?
In a swimming pool?
No, I guess not. It can be heated.
Indoors. We don't do outdoor pools in England. No, nobody has an outdoor pool in England. Let's be honest.
Yeah, okay, that makes sense. That makes sense. Well,
actually, there are outdoor pools, community ones. In fact, the boarding school I went to had an outdoor pool, and like you didn't use it in the winter, but they would drain it at the start of every summer term. There'd always be like dead rabbits in the bottom.
yeah.
It's pretty
Wait.
traumatic.
Sorry. Rewind. Did you say dead rabbits at the bottom of the pool?
Bottom of the swimming pool. So I went to an all girls boarding school.
Uh-huh.
Excuse me 1 second. Alexa, pause. I went to an all girls boarding school when I was 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. And it was in this 18th century manor house in acres and acres of grounds. And they had this really old in-ground outdoor swimming pool that we would only use in the summer term, wasn't heated, was always cold. And they wouldn't cover it in the winter. They would just let it go. So it would fill with algae, and squirrels and rabbits would fall in the pool, drown and die. So when they would drain it at the start of summer term, when the boarders would come back before school started, you'd always see like dead rabbits and squirrels and anything else that fell in there and drowned and died. Yeah.
That's pretty macabre.
And in year 8 and year 9, my room overlooked the pool, so I got to watch them drain the pool and bring out all the dead bunnies and things. It's great. And then they wanted us to swim in it the next week, and they're like,
oh, the dead squirrels and light and mice are all gone. Now you can go back in the pool. Like, no. I'll wait for another day or two. Oh, you survived that, so thank God.
I did. Made me stronger. Made me stomach dead animals.
That's exciting. And you live in San Diego?
I do. I've lived in San Diego mostly since 2011. In 2012, I was in Hawaii for 9 months. I was doing an internship teaching marine ecology and tectonics. And then obviously with the airlines, I was based in Houston, so I would commute from San Diego to Houston once a week. But as you know, I'm unemployed, so I don't commute to Houston anymore. So I'm in San Diego full time now.
But you're going to leave to Fiji in a minute, which we'll talk about in a sec. But
hopefully in March.
Hopefully in March. That's awesome. Now, tectonic, marine ecology, can you just break that down?
So my bachelor's degree is in physical geography and archaeology. I tacked on the archaeology because I thought I wanted to be Indiana Jones or Lara Croft. Turns out archaeology as a degree is sitting in a tent in the pissing rain in northern England looking at dirt.
Welcome to Bridgerton.
So physical geography is all about the physical world. So I studied oceanography, meteorology, ecology, marine ecology was something I was really interested in, and oceanography, taxonomy, biomes, biospheres, all of that is kind of my background. And then tectonics, I have a thing for rocks and volcanoes. I did my thesis out on the Canary Islands, the Isle of Tenerife, studying Mount Teide. So when I came to graduate my degrees, I was like, well, I want to do something interesting with my life. So I hopped on a plane and I moved to California. I worked at SeaWorld for 6 months for the education department, teaching children about all the wonderful critters that we have in our oceans and how we can save them. And then in Hawaii, I did the same thing, except it was more about the physical world, which was more in line with my background. Again, it was teaching children about how hotspots form and why the Hawaiian seamount chain is the way that it is, and what the reefs look like and how the reefs grow and how we can save them, and teaching about environmental conservation and all that kinds of stuff. And then I came back to California and kind of got married and got derailed and needed to get a serious job. I've since divorced that.
Cheers to that.
Cheers to that.
I hear you.
But yeah, so I'm trying to get back into what I know and love. Obviously, the marine sciences are kind of my thing. But find me a decent paying job in that world without a PhD, and I will take it.
Be a YouTuber.
That involves knowing how a computer works.
Yeah, there's that too. But that's actually cool. So you worked at SeaWorld?
Yes, I worked in the education department.
Now, obviously, yeah, that actually makes sense. You know, the knowledge you teach kids about, you know, the ocean and the animals in there. I personally have a thing against any animal in captivity, whether it's SeaWorld or zoo in general, except the sanctuary. But then I never actually thought about this other part about the educational aspect of it. Yes. From someone, that's been on the inside. What are your thoughts on?
So here's the thing about SeaWorld is most people don't know about their research programs and their animal rescue programs that they have going on behind the scenes. Their animal rescue program that they have at SeaWorld San Diego is one of the leading departments in the world on pinniped studies. As you know, here in California, we have the California sea lion, which is part of the pinniped families. Pinnipeds are seals, sea lions, walruses, that family. The veterinarian team that they have at SeaWorld San Diego is one of the pioneers in a glaucoma treatment for pinnipeds. So seals and sea lions and walruses were getting glaucoma and they're going blind. And then rather than getting taken out by a predator, they're beaching themselves to die. Well, SeaWorld pioneered a medication program for sea lions that have glaucoma and started treating them for it. So rather than them beaching themselves on the beach and dying and committing suicide, they're taking and capturing these sick animals, treating them and returning them to the wild. They are very big, I have to say, SeaWorld is very big on not using catch and release. It's catch and return.
Okay.
Release implies they've been held against their will.
I had to process that for a second. Like, okay.
They're also really big. They have a research institute at SeaWorld here in San Diego that's not on the premises, it's just next to it. The Hubs Research Institute, where they have been doing a lot of work into echolocation and to understand the vocalizations of whales and how whales communicate. They've been doing a lot of studies in the wild. They've been doing a lot of studies on the species that they have there. I don't know if you remember JJ, the gray whale that they had for a while, who was an orphaned calf.
Was it an orca? Oh no, you just said gray whale. No, I don't.
They've done a lot of studies into the sounds whales make and how they communicate and how that they can better understand them to prevent us people screwing up migration routes with sonar and shipping lanes and trying to understand the communications that they have to protect them in the wild. Now, I know that there are people that are very, very against SeaWorld for what they do and how they do it. And Blackfish I was working at SeaWorld when Blackfish came out.
Oh, yeah.
SeaWorld did some stupid shit back in the day. They have since learned from that stupid shit and they haven't done it again.
You think they have?
No, they haven't.
Oh, they haven't. Okay. They
have not. All of the seals and sea lions that they had in our enclosures at SeaWorld San Diego were ones that were rescued when they were caught in nets or had been chopped by a boat or had been so used to sleeping and working on a fish dock that they didn't know how to hunt for themselves. They were deemed that they weren't able to be rehabilitated and put back in the wild. There's a lot of critters that they keep at San Diego in SeaWorld in general that wouldn't be able to survive in the wild. And for all those people that are probably going to come on here and say SeaWorld needs to return all the killer whales to the ocean, they're going to die of a common cold as soon as they get put back in that water. Sorry.
I feel you, and I feel like it's the same thing with like they've been domesticated, basically. You know, at this point, we just kind of keep them and keep the ones in the wild.
10,000 years ago, man domesticated the wild wolf and turned it into a dog.
Mm-hmm.
So if you want to start barking up a tree about returning whales to the seas, put your dog in the fucking woods. See if it'll survive.
Oh.
Yeah. We're in the start of the domestication process. Same with cows and pigs. The wild aurochs used to roam at the end of the Pleistocene. They are these really big cows. Hunter-gatherers of the Mesolithic era captured them and started penning them and breeding them in such ways that this one would make better meat if we had babies with this one. And that's how you wound up with a domesticated cow, was the wild aurochs. So we've been doing it for 10,000 years. We're probably going to keep doing it to wild animals for a very long time.
We're probably going to keep doing it. And they go from beast mode to Bridgerton mode. Hi there.
Hello.
Hello there. Can I just bite you real quick?
Just a nibble.
Like, just a nibble. I've got to eat, yeah? So, oh, that's crazy. And that's some of the work you're going to do in Fiji,
So what I'm doing in Fiji is I'm volunteering with an organization called Projects Abroad. They organize volunteer opportunities around the world. They have some amazing projects in Cambodia, Thailand, the Maldives, India, Pakistan, Malaysia, Australia, you name it. There's a country you can go and do it.
China?
Yeah, they've got some in China too.
Okay.
So what they do is they connect you with non-profits that do valuable work in your field of interest. Obviously, mine is marine conservation, so I'm doing a marine conservation project out there. Part of that is I'll be working with an organization called My Fiji Shark, which aims to basically protect shark reef, and I'll be diving with people every day, teaching them about sharks, teaching them about the biomes that they have there, the sustainability of tourism, ecotourism, that kind of thing. I'll also be working on planting mangrove trees and doing beach cleanups and working with the kids in the local schools about the R's of life: reduce, reuse, recycle, and rot. Rot is the fourth R that not many people know about. That is composting your carrot peelings to grow more vegetables. And so it's the bulk of that project is going to be to do with the shark reef conservation effort they have going on out there, in conjunction with 3 different universities. I'll be working as a research assistant and basically just diving every day and trying not to get eaten.
That's awesome. And are you scuba diving this whole time, or is it going to be scuba diving?
Yeah,
right? Because you got to take other.
I'm hopefully going to be getting my master diver done while I'm out there, my survey diver and my distinctive diver whilst I'm there. The non-profit will be taking care of it, because obviously I'll be diving 3, 4, 5 times a day.
Yeah, you're gonna come back with like 500 dives.
Pretty much.
How long are you gonna be there for?
At the moment, 6 months.
You come back with 1,000 dives.
Yeah,
I don't know. I didn't.
I'm gonna come back and be like, I don't want to touch another scuba tank in my life. But you know, like I've been. As you know, I've been more of a free diver for the last couple of years, obviously, because I've been flying. Decompression sickness is a thing. And I've been on what we call reserve in the airline industry, where I have no idea if I'm flying tomorrow or not. So I can't risk going out to the kelp beds at 50, 60, 70 feet and then getting a phone call saying, we need you on a flight in 3 hours to go to Newark to work the flight from Newark to Charlotte, North Carolina. No idea if that was going to happen. So I kind of really, over the last few years, have really gotten into free diving, just because I don't want to risk not only myself, my safety, my health, my job. I still want to enjoy the ocean. My work kind of got in the way of that for a little bit, but now I can get back to it, and I'm going to go to Fiji and not die.
That's awesome. Bula bula. Bula bula. And shout out to 15 Fathoms. Shout out to Tommy. I see that shirt right there.
Ow. Yep. I put it
That's
on
awesome.
just for him.
Yeah, they're gonna be like, hey, flight tomorrow. You're like, huh?
Like, no.
Huh?
Sorry?
Can you say that again? Huh? Come. No. So do you prefer free diving to scuba diving, or what's your preference?
Right now, it's free diving.
Why is that? The flexibility of...
Oh, because I could wake up and say, fuck it, I'm going to the beach. And the next thing I know, I'm 35 feet down with a weight belt across my chest, looking at Garibaldi swimming across my eyes. Like,
the one thing I do envy about, you know, free divers that go on a dive trip that's predominantly free diving is all you got to pack is just your wetsuit and fins. Like, just pack it and go. Like, that's it. But with scuba diving, if you have your own gear, then you grab all your stuff and
you got to check everything. It's a whole process. I didn't have a lot of free time, honestly, when I worked for the airlines. Like I'd come home on a Monday at 11 a.m.
Yeah.
I'd have Tuesday off, and Wednesday I'd have to fly back to Houston. And so if there was a little piece of gear missing, or I needed to pick up something, or I needed to refill my tanks, it delayed the whole process. When I take the 9 a.m. commute out of Houston back here, I'd be back in my apartment by 11:30 in the morning. I'd usually be at the beach by noon. I'd literally dump my bags, change, go, and then I could just get straight in the ocean. I'd be like, happy place.
There we go. It is more flexible. It's just a little more versatile. Like you can, you know, pack a couple things. It's minimalist and you get in. Do you think
in the summer all you need is a weight belt and fins?
Absolutely. Yeah. There we go.
But I do still scuba. I was actually just thinking about this before I hopped on with you. I haven't scubaed in a year and a half, so I probably should
refresher course
it at this point. But I'm probably just going to wait until Fiji because
you might as well. I mean, what's the point?
I've packed all of my gear up. I was supposed to leave for Fiji in October, and I'd shipped a carton of my gear out. So my BDU is already out there. My fins is already out there. And then Fiji extended their borders last minute. So all of my scuba diving gear is already in Fiji.
Oh, well, that's good. So you could just go with a carry-on or whatever and be good. Well, you're probably still checking your
I'm still taking like 4 fucking suitcases because I'm going 6 months.
You're like, yeah, just left. Okay, so fun facts. Okay. What's the deepest you've gone free diving? The deepest depth, I guess, you've been at free diving.
49 feet.
Okay. How long were you down there for? No, it's at all. For me it is because I don't fuck with free. I don't mess with free diving. I'm like,
that was in the summer, and I haven't gone that deep since. I mostly hang out here in SoCal, off Goldfish Point, Marine Room Beach here in San Diego. And then it doesn't get that deep unless you're out at the canyon when it can plummet down to 100 plus feet. And I don't swim that far out.
Yeah, it's pretty far out. I've actually gone scuba diving at the canyon. Like you swim like, I don't know, 200 feet out. Then the canyon kind of starts around 80 and it just goes down. It's the same fault line that goes all the way through like, Redondo Beach and Vets Park or whatnot. But the interesting thing is it's kind of boring diving out there.
So, I prefer the kelp beds.
Yes, that's more fun. Marine Room is kind of fun too. The canyon itself is just, it's great, but I don't know.
I know the San Diego dive community are all about posting like, I was out at the canyon today, and I'm like, there's not fucking anything out there.
Yeah, there's like 2 shrimp.
Maybe and some sand dollars.
Yeah, maybe one of that.
I'm the kind of person that goes for the marine life. I don't go just for the dive. I go because I want to go and see things and stuff. I'm one of those nerds that as soon as I get back to my car, I'm like, what the fuck was that fish? And I'm scrolling through my phone trying to figure out what I saw. I have actually sat and gone through like GoPro footage before. And I'm like, I don't think I've ever seen one of those before. Oh, it's a giant kelp bass. That's awesome. And then I go on the forums and the communities and people are like, that's really rare. I'm like, well, I saw one. Here's one.
I think I'm drawn more to things like wrecks and I don't know, airplanes underwater. And
I've done a couple airplanes in the Bahamas that were quite fun.
Was one of them the Escobar plane?
No, I do want to go see that one though. I think these ones were sunk on purpose for tourists, which is kind of sad. But
why not?
artificial reefs bring habitable areas.
It's good for the environment.
Fishies. Yeah, as long as you drain all the fluids out of it.
Yeah, pretty much. There are these ones in Aqaba, Jordan. That's where it is. It's fairly recent. They sank it like kind of 3-4 years ago, maybe. I think I have to probably check on that to make sure, but they sank it pretty recent, and yeah,
they're fun to explore and check out. In Fiji, I've been looking at other dive sites other than the Shark Reef that I'll be working on. I'm going to be working on Shark Reef. It's literally called Shark Reef. I'm going to get eaten by a lemon shark. I know it's going to happen. And there's a whole bunch of statue parks that they've sunk that I'm keen to go check out. And they're only going to be in 25, 30 feet of water. So I think I might free dive those.
Those would be cool.
Those would be fun to go and like screw around with. Like curl up in a gigantic statue's lap and be like, I'm a mermaid.
Like, hello there. My name's Mermaid Bridgerton.
Sit on his knee and just be like, just to have fun with it. Talking to the fish, having conversations with them like I usually do.
That's awesome. Let's see. Fiji Shark Reef. Let me share this video with you. We're going to watch this video and see how you feel about it. Well, I thought this video was going to be fun.
Let me see what this one is. Face plant. Yeah, that's why you go backwards, darling.
Do you know why you go back? Do you know why? Do you know why you roll backwards when you try to?
Keep your freaking mask on.
Do you know why you do a back roll?
No, but
Trivia.
why is this?
So if you do a front row, you're going to end up in a boat.
He just pushed him off the boat.
These videos are the best.
Why are they rewinding? This is awesome.
It's like they're trying to do their worst entry. It's like an award for the worst entry ever.
Okay, some of these people have to be fat, podgy tourists, judging by their gear. Like they don't know what they're doing.
You know,
this guy just hit this one off the boat.
It's like, get in there and dive.
Fuck. These poor people. I go backwards because I like having my mask on my face. Personally.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
That person recovered all right. That one, she ripped her mask off as soon as she was in.
Yeah, this was just showboating now.
Whee!
Woo! Get in there.
I like he tried to cannonball but didn't have enough height.
Yeah. Is this what you get when you go to a $5 resort in Thailand?
Yeah, pretty much. That's one of my retirement plans, is to just fuck off to Thailand. That one was pretty spectacular. Awesome. Yeah, that one was. Oh, if I had 5 out of 10.
Ooh! Smacked right in the face.
Yeah, he did. Ow.
Yeah. That's not going to go down well.
That's going to hurt.
So there was that. Oh, as a pilot, I thought you were going to really appreciate this one. Let's see. It's this. There's actually a specialty for it. Jumping out of a... I was actually trying to find... Yeah, jumping out of... Basically skydiving to eventually scuba dive.
As a pilot, why the fuck would I jump out of a perfectly good airplane? I want to fly the thing, not leave it.
But, hey, you know... It's good for the gram. This one wasn't actually too far high. I don't know, what is that? Maybe 30 feet? Yeah, it's not too
Well, I
bad.
know a lot of the Navy guys do this, like
Yeah,
UAV divers.
they do a lot of that. So like, but for civilians, I guess there's this course. I think the only place that offers it actually is right here in California, where you
Heli
jump out of
diving.
a heli dive in, but it's much higher altitude than this, and you jump in and do your thing. But
Well, that's a police helicopter. So I'm guessing that this is a search and rescue mission.
oh, it doesn't have any fins on.
He's holding them.
Yeah, it's holding them.
Yeah.
So I know for
Because if
sure.
you jump out of anything, you don't want them on your feet, because if it gets ripped off on entry, you're fucked. So
Yeah,
you
yeah.
hold them, you thread the back loops through your wrists, and then you snug them to your chest.
I
I
know for
have.
sure this guy was not thinking about that when he did his.
Yeah, adjust your regulator. There you go, sweet cheeks. His hood doesn't fit him properly, it's gaping.
It looks pretty cold out there.
Trying to figure out where that is. Fins. Well, maybe he's weighted and he doesn't need fins.
He's just gonna walk. Oh, that explains it as a split fin user.
Retrofitting, he's just like, hey. I mean, freediving wise, where one of the points where I get in, I don't put my fins on until I'm treading water.
Yeah.
Especially out of goldfish, where you just basically jump off a rock.
Yeah, I've seen you do that dive I've seen your videos do that dive. That's pretty cool.
I'll see if I can find one on my drive and share it with you. So, me
That'd be
spectacular failing diving.
Oh, the rest are just Fiji free diving videos. So, what are your pet peeves with diving? Like what's the one thing that takes you off when you see that you really like need to go correct on someone diving that you probably don't even know?
People fucking touching wildlife is like my biggest fucking annoyance.
Now, okay, go ahead.
It's so 3 months ago, I was down at Goldfish and there was a male California sea lion who had a ruptured abscess on his stomach and he was just laying on the rocks. And it was the first weekend that California had allowed people to go back to the beaches because the beaches were closed in the pandemic.
Yeah.
And there were hundreds of people down at Goldfish Point, and that pissed me off because Goldfish is usually reserved for like the locals that know how to get down there safely. And it's a good free dive launch spot. It's a good dive spot. I don't want you and your 15 cousins smoking a joint and leaving trash at my Goldfish Point. It's a very small area. And there was this male sea lion who had clearly had a run-in with something sharp, had an abscess on his stomach, and he rolled and it ruptured and it gushed like pus and blood and all this kinds of stuff. And all of these stupid fucking people were just trying to get in to get a selfie with him and trying to touch him. And I'm like, this is a wild animal that is injured and probably really cranky. And you really want to be sticking your face a foot away from a mouth that is filled with more teeth than you have?
And more germs than COVID-19.
Yeah, and this poor fucking sea lion, like I called SeaWorld, I called the animal rescue department and got them on the phone, and he was actually tagged, so I got the ID number, and they went out and tried. They couldn't come and get him from where he was, but they knew to look out for him to check this abscess because it was pretty bad. I took videos of it, and it was like gushing pus and stuff. But that is especially out in the wild ocean. Don't fuck with the wildlife. Like, you're in their world. If they want to approach you, they will, and you treat them with respect. I've seen people like get cut. I've seen people get bit, get head butted. Like, just don't. Just leave them be. Like that's the thing that just like pisses me off.
Now, can we clarify though, or classify? Is there a way to interact with nature or wildlife in the ocean?
Yes, you let them approach you.
Excellent. Thank you. Thank
So
you.
you don't go up to a wild bear and try and hug it. If
Mm-hmm.
you sit still and that bear wants to come and check you out, you sit there with your hands open, you're not a threat. Prove to them that you are not interfering with their lives. And they want to check you out. Good for you. Don't reach up and try and hug him, give him belly rubs. Just let him interact with you how he wants to interact with you. Now, if he's interacting in a threatening way, obviously, I would encourage you to
Use common sense.
use some common sense. Don't stick your hand in their mouth, that kind of thing. Chasing wildlife is another no-no. I used to see people doing it with turtles when I lived in Hawaii all the time. And knowing and understanding how an animal's behavior is, you can see that that turtle is fucking scared. Leave him the fuck alone. Yet you're still going to try and get in there to get a picture with him. No, piss off. Leave him alone. Let him do his thing. Don't chase him. If he wants to check you out, he'll check you out.
Yeah.
End of story. I've had some really cool interactions with lots of things out in the ocean. Out here in La Jolla, the pupping season for the seals and sea lions is really fun, because they're so curious. They'll like get in your face, they'll like bump you. I've got teeth marks on my freedive flippers from a sea lion that was just chasing me. They're just curious. They just want to understand why you're in their world.
What's the popping season? Just the
Pupping season? It's when they give birth.
Oh, to their puppies. Okay.
Yeah, to sea lion pups, pupping season.
Okay.
Because they all kind of give birth in the same kind of period of time. It's just everybody's having babies. You know how you have lambs in the spring.
Yeah.
Pupping season depends on the colony and the bulls in that colony. But more often than not, it's some point in the summer.
Okay. Makes sense.
Look at these guys line diving. I'm not a big fan of line diving.
Why is that?
To me, line diving is just about trying to get a depth, trying to get to a point and back up. I free dive because I want to go immerse myself in the world and not compete to get deeper and further. I free dive because I want to be able to go and enjoy the natural world. So, but I mean, fair play to people. Like, it's a whole competitive sport and good for them. It's just not my thing.
Yeah. So yours is more exploratory than sporty.
I dive because I want to be a mermaid.
Yeah, it's more like, oh, I'm gonna go down to, what is the record of what's the
insane. It's what is it, the Moldova? Oh, there's a new world record holder. I do keep up with the sport.
I read about that recently, but he
just broke the world record in the Baltic Sea or something. Excuse me, I don't know.
Yeah, we'll Google that. So we're we're sliding into trivia time.
Oh, okay.
How long is the longest scuba dive on record?
How the fuck should I know?
I only know because it popped up on my highlights. It was like 6 days.
Oh, it's supposed to be like crazy long, because I remember reading something about this. The salt water started to like degrade his flesh on his face.
My number one thing was, how did he poop?
In his wetsuit, obviously.
For 6 days?
That's a lot of shit.
That was the first thing I wanted to know. Like, hold on a minute.
In his wetsuit, obviously.
Yeah. And there's some I wouldn't call it a scandal. There's just some I guess challenge to the claim. It was done in Egypt around November, December, or something like that. And people were like, oh, this is some technicality. I'm like, I just want to know how he pooped, man. Like, I that's all I want to know.
I imagine he shit himself.
Wow, the things you do for greatness.
Well, here's the thing. So Amelia Earhart, world famous female flyer, broke a whole bunch of records, went missing somewhere in some ocean at some point because, well, she was flying around the world by herself. She used to just pee herself in her seat when she was flying. Like, she wouldn't take a break. And so when she'd come back from doing these record-breaking flights, she had a team of people that would keep the press at least 4 or 5 feet away because she was usually drenched in pee because she would just pee in her seat. So I imagine this diver would just pee and poop in his wetsuit.
Ain't that something?
Yeah. Why do we always end up talking about pee and poop?
Because there are only two kinds of divers: those that pee in their wetsuits and those that lie about it.
Yeah. Although I will say I have never pooed in my wetsuit.
Yeah, I can't say that I have either. Let me think about that. No,
I haven't.
We'll skip that. It's only an hour. We'll come back and dash to the bathroom. But yeah. That's, I mean, if you had to poop anywhere, I mean, that's probably one of the best places to hold everything intact. Yeah, no.
No.
No. That's not gonna work. Oh, you're gonna have a lot of fun in Fiji. We're looking forward to it. I'm looking forward to seeing your adventures out there and seeing you go bula bula. That's what they say,
bula,
right?
Bula. Yeah, bula bula is just like
aloha.
Like, hey, yeah, it's like aloha. Use it for a lot of things.
Yeah. For 6 months, yeah, you're definitely gonna come back speaking bula bula and with 1,000 dives. And what's your most
dive you will.
Why did you? What got you into diving? How did you get started? Like, I know your dad influenced you with flying. So how did you get into diving?
My parents have always called me the Little Mermaid. When I remember parts of this. When I think I was about 3 or 4 years old, we were on a family holiday in the Red Sea in Egypt at some resort, something, whatever. I can remember taking my floaties off and jumping in the deep end of a swimming pool, and my mother like having a mild panic attack because this 4-year-old that doesn't know how to swim just launched herself into a swimming pool. And I can remember like launching myself into the water. And I remember other family holidays where we would go to Wales and I'd just swim in the ocean for hours and hours and hours and hours, and try and hold my breath for as long as I could and try and stay down there for as long as I could. And then I went to a military school. I went to a military academy, actually, when I was 16. And they offered scuba diving and they had a trip to Egypt. And I took the course. I didn't do the Egypt part. But I was like, that's one way that I can stay underwater without holding my breath for as long as possible. So I was like, fuck it, I'm gonna go learn how to scuba dive. And so I did. And I haven't really done, well, at that point I hadn't really done anything fun. It was just quarries and swimming pools. And it wasn't until much later in my adult life that I got back into it and back into diving. And now I live here in San Diego. This spring I will have lived in California for 10 years. And I live 20 minutes from the ocean. So I got back into it out here because it's my front doorstep.
And that's the cool thing about California. I think, so before I got into diving, I used to sail more frequently. When I lived,
sail.
not as much for me. Once in a long while. I mean, I grew up in Lagos, Nigeria, but I lived in England a little bit when I was a kid, and on the East Coast for a while, like Connecticut, DC, New York, Philly. I wanted to do those things. It just seems so far away. Like one time, I know when I lived in Philly, I think I wanted to like sign up for a sailing class and whatever, but it was like an hour and change away in Baltimore. And like,
yeah,
so much work. I know it takes us like an hour to get anywhere in Southern California, but it just feels
San Diego,
more.
it's like 20 minutes. It's 20 minutes in San Diego.
Oh, okay. Maybe that's just for LA.
Yeah, but
LA
LA
is
is
an
like
hour away
fucking
from
4 hours to go to the grocery store.
Yeah. So what have you learned? What have you learned? I'm still thinking about what I've learned. No, actually, I do know what I've learned. What have you learned?
That you never stop learning.
Mm.
There's always going to be someone that knows more than you, and you need to respect them when they have an input. There will always be somebody that knows more than you, knows better than you. It might not necessarily be better, but if someone approaches you about something or you're not sure about something, it's always better to ask than to think you know what you're doing and fuck up and die. So
Especially as a diver, you can say that again.
especially as a diver. You know me, I have a lot of divey friends. There are some people that I will always turn to for advice. And there are people that I wouldn't dream of fucking asking for advice. I'm planning on doing my master diver in Fiji when I get there, and I've been studying pretty damn hard already,
Nice.
so that I'm prepared when I go in, because I don't want to turn up and just be like, oh, I don't know what I'm doing. Yeah, there's always more to learn. Once you think you know it all, that's the end.
And that actually that's actually a great way to segue into what I learned, because before, what's his name, the orca that went viral with SeaWorld, I've had my
Shamu
yeah, Shamu. I've had my
or Tilikum?
no, Shamu. I think it was Shamu.
Well,
I've had,
Shamu. So funny story. Shamu isn't actually a whale. Shamu is the last name. So it's the Shamu family.
yeah.
Shamu wasn't a specific whale.
So there are two things I learned. They're like, one is that they're random names for random things you thought you knew.
Yeah.
And yeah, what you did with SeaWorld was pretty good. Like, I haven't thought about that in a while. There's the educational part of it.
I will say working at SeaWorld when Blackfish came out was eye-opening. I've watched Blackfish. I've seen Blackfish. SeaWorld freely admits they fucked up back in the day. That they took these young whales from their mothers to put in tanks so that people could ooh and ah at them. They also did it for research purposes. I know animal testing is like a huge thing, but if they can figure out that this disease that is specific to this kind of whale, this type of a species, and it affects a pod up in Alaska,
Yeah.
the guys at SeaWorld can see what it is, understand their physiology better than you or I ever could, because they've worked with these animals, and they could help save that failing pod up in Alaska or that pod in South Africa or whatever. You can't just magically understand a creature that's out in the wild. And if we've got to do conservation efforts to preserve the ones in the wild, we need to be able to study them. We need to be able to research them. We need to be able to look at their blood and say, this one's got the antibodies. This one doesn't have the antibodies. If this one gets exposed to a common cold, it will kill them. And the only way we can do that is by, unfortunately, using the animals that we have. They don't capture from the wild anymore, and they're learnt from what they've done. They take blood samples. They train them to take blood samples from the flukes so that they can study the blood and study antibody mechanisms, study the DNA, study all of that stuff. And we can't protect the ones in the wild without the ones that we have in captivity. It's, unfortunately, that's just how it is.
We've done that pretty much for every species, but I don't know who you've been listening to. I'm the chief of African voodoo. I can touch an animal and know exactly how it's going to help humanity.
You're from Nigeria?
Absolutely.
I thought voodoo was further south.
Well, I claim some of it.
Okay.
It started in
Voodoo was
Nigeria.
more Haitian and the Americans.
It started in Nigeria. Anything
Okay.
voodoo started in Nigeria,
Better than I
then
do.
yeah, the rest of it.
So you're a voodoo priest now?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Chief diving voodoo priest.
Good for you.
But yeah, still, we will follow the laws of physics on the water.
Yeah.
Just to keep it safe. But
yeah, that's human nature, is wanting to understand the world around us.
one hell of a podcast, one hell of an episode.
Oh, we skipped over fun facts and we skipped over trivia. What else did we skip over?
No, we weaved it right into it while we were watching
Most
videos.
memorable ocean experience. Oh, free diving with a great white.
Yeah. Are you going to talk about it now?
Holy shit. Yes. I was spearfishing off the North Shore in Oahu with a couple of friends of mine when I lived out there.
Yeah.
And there was 3 of us out in the water. Two guys were on the boat.
Mm-hmm.
And we're just hanging out, checking things out, blah, 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 blah. And I see a shadow. And there hadn't been any great white sightings in the area. There are sharks out there, obviously. Like, I was friends with a reef tip off where I lived. She was cute. I spot a shadow.
Oh yeah.
And I was about 15 feet down. I didn't have anything on the string. I was looking over, I see the shadow. And it starts kind of like registering that that's big. So I swam to the surface, take another breath, back down, try and spot the shadow again. I could see it and I realized it's a fucking great white shark. And it's 20 feet below me. And she is fucking massive. And she's just slowly doing her thing. And I realized before anyone else, I start swimming back to the boat and I'm like, shark, white shark, white shark. And the guys on the boat were like, no fucking way, Gunny. And I'm like, fucking serious. Climb back in the boat. They start waving at the guys. One of the other guys out in the water had seen it as well and starts swimming for the boat. He had fish on his string that he cut because he didn't want to be dragging bleeding meat when there's a great white around. And so the 2 of us get back on the boat and we can't find our third friend. He pops up and he's like, guys, look, and we're like, we fucking know. So he got back to the boat and everything was fine. And she wasn't fussed. She didn't care. She was 20 feet below me, probably 50, 60 feet laterally away. She was fucking majestic. She didn't give 2 shits, but she was big. And for one, I'm big in the psychology of animals, and I understand her behavior was non-threatening. I probably overreactive. She probably would have been fine with me in the water, but I didn't want to chance it, so I got out.
Yeah, they do have a reputation.
My pants on the boat.
Were you still in your wetsuit?
No, I wasn't wearing a wetsuit.
Oh, okay.
It was Hawaii in July.
Yeah, that makes sense.
But it was beautiful. So I accidentally free dove with a great white shark and I didn't die.
Most people don't, actually. Most people don't even get hurt. They don't. They have a bad rap, from Jaws, pretty much.
They do.
Mostly from Jaws.
They really, really do. And killer whales are the same. They have a bad rep.
I think those are
it's
psychopaths.
Literally in their name. But cool.
But yeah, and I think dolphins are the worst. Oh,
dolphins will straight up rape each other.
Yeah.
There are 3 animals in the world that rape. 3. Humans, dolphins, and I think it's chimpanzees, or is it pigs?
I can see that with pigs.
I can see that with pigs. I don't think it's chimpanzees. Chimpanzees mate to procreate. They don't mate for fun. But so the animals that have sex for fun are also the ones that rape. Dolphins rape each other. They will gang rape and drown each other.
Yeah, dolphins can be more
take that, flipper.
Excessive than great whites, but they just have a bad rep. And yeah, I would probably freak out too, just with any shark in general. Not freak out, but stay humbled. Really stay humbled.
Since we're talking about dolphins and whales, did you know that all dolphins are whales, but not all whales are dolphins?
All dolphins are whales. Yes.
but
Wait,
not all
why are they
whales are
whales?
dolphins. So there are two families in the whale family. There are two different families in the whale world: toothed
Mhm.
whales and baleen whales. Dolphins are actually toothed whales. So all dolphins are technically whales, but
But
not all whales are dolphins.
so beluga whales are whales, but they're not dolphins.
Yes. And
Okay.
dolphins are technically toothed whales. So toothed and baleen whales are the two
Yeah.
families of the whales.
Huh. You know
Yeah.
what? That's what I learned.
There you go. And did you know that there are more airplanes in the ocean than there are submarines
Submarines in
the
the
sky?
air. Oh, cheers to that.
Hopefully there aren't any flying submarines, because if they are, they're actually airplanes.
It's 2021. Who knows? There probably
Yeah,
is.
that's true. We're doing really well in America for 2021.
Like, oh, is
We've
that
already had a civil war.
that's an aircraft carrier in the air? Okay.
That's some Avengers shit right there.
Yep. This is gonna be a fun edit.
That's 15 fathoms, by the way, not my tits.
Shout out.
Here we go.
Shout out to the twins and Tommy and 15 Fathoms.
You also need to give a shout out to DiveViz.
Who's Diviz?
So DiveViz is an app that was started right here in San Diego by a couple of really cool dudes, a guy called Chris. And it's basically a way to report dive conditions where you are. The reports that people generate help the algorithms to figure out what conditions will be like when certain temperatures and swells and things are reported. So every time I dive, get on DiveViz. Every time you dive, get on DiveViz and report the place that you were at, the conditions you saw. If you have the data of like the temperature and the depth that you were at, plug it in there. I check it before I go diving every single time, because chances are someone will have been out to where I'm going and they can say visibility was shit, or it was really warm today, or surf is really high. And it's a really good way to get dive specific. There you go. Exactly. Those guys. I love it. They're freaking awesome. I think I made you download that, didn't I?
Yes.
Yes,
Yeah,
I
you
did.
sent this to me before.
Yeah.
Just Get Wet.
Just Get Wet. So Just Get Wet is is another organization done by the same guys that deal with free dive coaching and training and your levels and your certifications. They organize group sessions, diving and things like that, and free diving trips specifically. I think there was a bunch of girls that just went down to Mexico and went diving in the cenotes and did line dives down there. There's spearfishing trips that they organize out down to the Catalina Islands. Two separate things run by the same couple of dudes that are really into it. And they're a really good bunch of people. They're very knowledgeable, resource bunch of people.
It's pretty cool. I was watching this random YouTube video today, and super random, like it just showed up on my recommendations. And this guy actually used one of my videos from the cenotes.
Oh, really?
Yeah. It was like top things to do, and I can't remember what it's about. What was it about? I don't remember. But maybe top things to do in Mexico, I think.
Diving cenotes.
Yeah.
Some of them, from the archaeological perspective, are fascinating. They used to throw bodies in them.
Yeah, it was like, this is how I don't know, I'm just saying Aztecs used to communicate with the gods. Oh, you mean by throwing dead bodies in there?
No, they throw live ones and let them bleed out in the water, and the blood swirling in the water would tell them stories and futures. Sorry, I don't know why I'm so excited by this. The Mesoamerican subcultures of America are fascinating. Sorry.
Yeah, very interesting.
Yeah. Let's throw some bodies in a well and see what happens. Let's slit some goats' throats and throw them in.
Let's see if they
No.
bleed or not. If they bleed, yeah. If they
You
don't,
can tell the future from their blood.
we
No,
get
there's
another goat.
some really interesting ones out on the eastern side of Mexico that they have found lots of human remains and pieces of human remains in. And they had very spiritual and cultural connections. Out here on the eastern side, the cenotes are not so predominant, but they're definitely not filled with bodies.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah.
Or maybe the bodies are gone.
I don't know.
Yeah, there's that too.
There's a place in France that I've been looking at to go diving, and the name has just completely gone from my head.
Or a part of France, or Côte d'Azur, somewhere around there.
It's not in the Côte d'Azur. I've kayaked the Ardèche. I know all of southern France.
Yeah, there's no catacombs in the Côte d'Azur.
Fucking French. The name's just completely gone. I don't know what it is, but it's like a hot spot, a natural cavern that's like 150, 200 feet down. I keep wanting to say like Fleur de Miguel, but that's not it. And it's just
right.
like a straight shot with some like kinks in it, and like people have disappeared in it, and like bodies were never recovered, and kind of cool. I kind of want to go dive it.
Yeah, it's very macabre.
I don't want to die in it. I would just like to go dive it.
It just the only thing I can picture in my head is this guy's going into the Egyptian blue hole and seeing. So there's like an arch, and pretty much if you shoot for the arch, you're probably not gonna make it back up. 1% make it back up. And they go through there with like, dual, triple tanks, and they see just like other scuba divers just
dead. I'm gonna freediving hole France, see if that comes up.
Oh, I think I saw a video of this guy that did like freediving around the world, and he started in France, and it was like a straight down deep hole.
Yeah, there's a couple. There's a new freedive movie that's coming out about like, well, it's not freediving, it's scuba diving, where like it's one of those suspenseful dramas, and like the dude's gonna die. So it's not the Côte d'Azur. I'll find it. Yeah, whatever. I'll find it and I'll text it to you. But it looks really interesting, and I kind of font to something. I really want to. I want to go and just swim. Like you can do 150 feet straight down, and then it's all these bends and twists and stuff where people die. So I'm just going to do like 50 feet and say I've done it.
Yeah, I could just do Nemo 33. What is it? Nemo 33 in Brussels? Or the one in Poland, or the one in Italy?
Oh, there's so many of them, but there's just this really romantic looking one in France that keeps killing people.
Yeah, I'll skip that one. Tell me how it goes.
Okay, I will. I'll live chat you from it and be like, hey, put this on Divers Getting Coffee.
Like, last video on Divers Getting Coffee. No, you be safe. You be safe.
Oh dear.
Fun chat. When are you going to? So you're going to Fiji in March?
Yes, March 16th. Hopefully.
You're going somewhere in February. Oh, you're going to the Middle East somewhere we can, some classified location.
I'm going pearl diving.
Yeah.
Hopefully I'll come back with a pearl.
And pearls. Hey, grab me a pearl, please. Thank you.
If I get myself any, then yeah, I will. As long as I have enough for me to make a pair of earrings, I'm good.
All right. Fair enough.
Yeah. Well, my love, I'm going to love and leave you. Thank you very much for having me on. I'm very excited to see what the final product looks like.
Thank you for coming on. It was great stories. A lot of stories. We're going to be sharing that soon. Well, this was another episode of the Bridgerton Divers Getting Coffee.
Cocktails, darling. Cocktails, darling.
Oh, cocktails. Is that how you say it? I don't know.
Cocktails, darling, because neither of us are drinking coffee this hour of the day.
Oh, another episode of Divers Getting Cocktails.
Ooh, tally ho.
Tally ho there.
Spit spot?
Who?
Spot? Jolly good, I say, old bean, hockey sticks and all that jazz, you know.
Oh, that's definitely the intro.
All right, honey, I'll talk to you later.
All right, have a good night.